Good evening. It is Wednesday, June 9th, 2021, and coming to you live from the Lonely Tree Media Studios in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Lamm Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamm. With me, as always, is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker.
I guess that kind of works, doesn't it?
Yeah, it works for me.
I mean, studio audience appreciates.
They always do.
The
What's
hello
new?
Parker. I mean, you know, they're the best studio audience in studio audience history.
Best studio audience that money can buy.
Well, I haven't paid them anything. But anyway, we are live streaming on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Lamm Sports. We're on Facebook under the Best Lamm Sports Show. Literally, just go into your search bar on Facebook and type in the Best Lamm Sports Show. It'll take you right to our page. You can send us an email, lammsports@gmail.com, and please check out our webpage, www.lammsports.com. You can find links to the past shows. The current trivia question is almost always uploaded. And there's a little button when you go look. There's the question, and there's a button for the answer. And you hit the button, it'll take you to a web page. It'll tell you the answer and explain it. At least that's what I try to do. I don't know if that's always true. But anyway, the first segment of the show is brought to you by The Range in Yakima. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting destination at 34,000 square feet. The Range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail firearm sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds, and Cerakote services all under one roof. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 7, Sunday 11 to 5. Go see our friends at The Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. Phone number is 509-571-1449. Make sure you mention the Best Lamm Sports Show. If you go right now to therangellc.com, you can enter the Yakima Police Department Gun Safe Raffle. And they're literally giving away a gun safe. So I say go and enter because, you know, why not? That's The Range. Educate, equip, and empower. So we got a lot of things to talk about. We got a lot of topics today. I mean, it just kind of snuck up on me, all the stuff that's happening in and around the NBA and NHL world. But we have NBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs, soccer, golf, tennis, NFL football news. And we're going to start right there because I think this is probably a fairly large NFL news story. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's a big one.
I feel like it is too.
It is.
But we're going to start with the fact that the Atlanta Falcons traded wide receiver Julio Jones and a 6th-round pick in 2023 to the Tennessee Titans for a 2nd-round draft pick in 2022 and a 4th-round pick in 23. So Jones and a pick for 2 picks.
Good deal.
I didn't feel like it was. Jones is the Falcons' career leader in almost every receiving category. Last year at age 31, he had 51 catches for 771 yards in 9 games due to a hamstring injury.
You had a rough year there.
Yeah, but I mean, he still was on pace to get 100 catches and like 1,200 yards.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like he had a quote rough year, and he was still doing way better than most people could dream to do.
It was a quote unquote down year. Yeah, he joins a Titans team that last season had a 2,000-yard rusher in Derrick Henry and a 1,000-yard receiver in A.J. Brown. They also have wide receiver Corey Davis, who had 984 yards receiving last year. This was more a product of the salary cap for Atlanta, which got rid of Jones' entire $15 million guaranteed contract for this year. And that's what they were looking to do, to offload, because had they not been able to do that, they wouldn't have been able to sign their draft picks. And because they had literally had $1 million of cap space.
I've never liked the fact that you can sign a group of players, your draft picks, when you don't have the money yet. Right. I've never understood the fact that they don't walk off the stage and sign their contract.
Yeah.
Like you're drafted on draft night. You stand up there. Roger Goodell holds one side of the jersey. You hold the other. You take pictures. You smile. You dap up your bros. You leave the thing, and you're still unemployed.
Right.
Officially.
Until you sign the deal, you're unemployed. Yeah.
Until you sign the deal, you're unemployed. And I've never understood that. I could not imagine some job that wants to hire you is like, hey, we're gonna make it really public, but we'll get to whether or not it's actually gonna happen later.
Right.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, it's rare that they don't sign a 1st-round pick. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's rare.
I
Occasionally,
feel like it's rare that they don't sign a pick, period.
yeah. Well, occasionally a first round pick will not want to sign or hold out. I mean, Eli Manning. I'm pointing at you.
John Elway pointing
Yeah,
at you.
pointing at you. But they still end up signing with somebody. They just got to get traded first. So
Right.
I don't know.
It's still.
Yeah, I hear you. And so here's my question to you: does this make Tennessee an even more viable Super Bowl contender, or is it just another piece? Because I'll tell you what I felt originally when I saw this. They're not going to be able to find more yardage than they had last year. So they're going to redistribute the yardage they have.
Well,
right?
they lost Corey Davis or Wood Brown. Which one of the two? They lost one of those two guys to Buffalo. I can't remember which one they lost, but one of those two is not there anymore.
No, they no.
So
okay, so I think I got rid of tight ends. Jonnu Smith.
I thought they lost one of their wide receivers to Buffalo.
I don't think so. But let's.
Yeah. Either way, you're absolutely correct. It doesn't change the fact that they're not going to become a massive yard producing team all of a sudden any more than they already were. It does not change that. So either you're inserting a guy in place of a guy, or you're inserting another guy and redistributing the wealth. It's not actually going to change anything. However, it is going to take pressure off of your passing game because they're going to have to respect the double team. So it's going to cause that issue.
Yeah,
but it's going to help your team.
Could be. So they still have. Yeah, they must have got rid of. They still have AJ Brown. I'm looking at the depth chart right now. So they must have got rid of Corey Davis. But I didn't.
Corey Davis was 84 last year, I believe. And I'm like I said, I'm pretty sure he went to Buffalo. But oh no, he went to the New York Jets. That's where he went. So he left. He's on the Jets as of this year.
And I'll tell you.
So that's where he's sliding in, is into that role.
I will tell you this though, their top three are now and AJ Brown, Julio Jones, Josh Reynolds.
Yeah.
Which, and their tight end, because they got rid of Jonnu Smith, he left. Now, so then I got Anthony.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Anthony Firkser.
Firkser.
Who? And
he's a rookie, right?
For those of you who don't know who Anthony Firkser, he's in his third season. He came from Harvard. So
from Harvard.
He's
Harvard.
a smart pass catcher. I don't know. I feel like I've never heard of them before, but their whole tight end roster are guys I've never heard of before. So
I would say that there's a lot of teams that have a very successful seasons without known tight end commodities.
It's true.
So I don't think it's that big of an issue. And besides, if you haven't heard of the tight end and they're starting on an NFL team, it means they're probably good blockers.
Yeah, they might be. That's why they're there. I feel like Ryan Tannehill, I don't know that he's capable of handling a player like Julio Jones. And what I mean by that is he's a guy who requires the ball, right? He is a number one wide receiver. So you had a guy last year in AJ Brown who was your number one wide receiver, and so now you've got a guy who's a true number one, right?
Sure.
So how do you make AJ Brown happy if you're throwing the ball to Julio Jones all the time? And number two is Julio Jones can get down the field and make catches. I'm not sure Ryan Tannehill's a down the field kind of guy, and that's why he relied on tight ends like Jonnu Smith to make plays. So I feel like if I don't know anything about Firkser or Miller Forrestall or Tommy Hudson, I'm just saying maybe that might be an Achilles heel for their offense, is that they can't throw the short, 5-6 yard passes to a tight end and get those first downs. I don't know. We're going to find out, aren't we?
I would say that it's not going to matter as much as you think it matters. I would say that they're still going to be a run first team.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, Derrick Henry's the guy, right? Load him up, let him run for 2,000 yards. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I feel like Tennessee is in that discussion now. With
kind of the part about me. With what?
I feel like they're in that discussion with Kansas City now. By
like in terms of weapons.
Well, yeah. In terms of their offensive weapons, their defense is still pretty good. Their defense was good last year. I don't know. We're gonna have to see.
Kind of, but you line up any of their weapons next to each other, and you're gonna find out Kansas City's, head and shoulders above them. And not to mention, the one piece that really matters is the quarterback, and Kansas City has that. And let's not forget, Julio Jones said he wanted to go to a team with a big armed quarterback. He goes to a team that threw for less than 75 yards in a playoff game. I'm not sure what you think you were going to get by coming to this team. But, Brown really wanted him there. So I think that he's willing to take a smaller workload in effort to give, Green, or not give Green, give Julio Jones his dues.
I feel like it's still Derrick Henry's show, and no matter what you do, that's what they do because
Agreed?
that's what the coach does. So coach calls those plays. He wants Derrick Henry to run the ball, 40 times a game.
Sure.
And if you're
Sure.
winning, that's what's going to happen. And that doesn't make for happy wide receivers. I can tell you from a standpoint of a wide receiver who played on a team that ran the ball every down, that's not a lot of fun. I mean, it just
Well, that's also a division that's ripe to be plucked. Tennessee's kind of had that division, and Jaguars have Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer and what may be a good future, maybe not. Who knows? Houston's in shambles, and Indianapolis is trying to make Carson Wentz into, the guy he was. So he went to a good spot to kind of guarantee playoff, to have the best shot at a playoff. I think any of the other divisions in the AFC would have been a much harder sell to get into the playoffs unless you went to the Chiefs.
Yeah, maybe. All right. So let's talk about soccer for a minute. So
Soccer.
the U.S. men's national team won the CONCACAF Nations League final. Nations League it's a tournament. I don't even know how to describe it. From the nations that are in the CONCACAF region, which don't ask me what CONCACAF stands for because who knows. But that's basically the North America and Central America League and the Caribbean. There's some teams out there. But anyway, so that whole league, all of those nations play in a tournament every year. Every year, it's every 2 years. I can't remember. Anyway, but that's called the CONCACAF Nations League. They played in the final on Sunday. They beat Mexico 3-2 in what was a scrappy. It was a good soccer match. It was fun to watch.
Sure.
But it was marred by racist name calling and debris throwing by fans onto the field, directed at the U.S. team. And I'm not pointing a finger or naming names, but in the semifinal that Mexico had against Honduras, the exact same thing happened. So I feel like Mexico is the common denominator here, and the Mexican fans were the ones, because I don't think American fans would throw water bottles at their own players. Maybe, but probably not. So anyway, long story short, Christian Pulisic converted a penalty kick in the 114th minute after being pulled down in the penalty area, and backup goalkeeper Ethan Horvath stopped Andres Guardado's penalty kick in the 124th minute to seal the win for the United States. And yeah, we were just talking about unruly fans last week, but if you can see in the picture there was stuff being hurled. Giovanni Reyna for the United States got hit in the head with a projectile. Had to be taken off the field. It was a mess.
Sure.
It was a mess. And I don't know what FIFA is going to do about any of that, or if they will. But
right.
I will tell you, as a longtime supporter of the U.S. national team and watching them play a lot of soccer, that the things that happen in Mexico City happen everywhere. This is one of those things. And they've been, for a long time, they've been using laser pointers, shining them in the eyes of the players up from the crowd. Yeah, you see it on the field. You can see the laser pointer on the field. And I'm like, wow.
Right.
So there's a lot of that going on. The racial slurs are, the throwing of objects. Okay, we just talked about that in basketball, right? Throwing stuff at players. Okay, okay. But there's a line there when you start, yelling racist or homophobic slurs at people, players on the field, on the court. In my opinion, that's a little over the top, and something probably needs to be done. But I don't know if it'll happen.
Fans think they are entitled to not only their opinion, but to voice their displeasure however they see fit. And I'll be honest, it's what makes sports fans the biggest idiots on earth, just as a general rule. And that includes me, because I have gotten absolutely stupid over a sport I love. In a way, it doesn't make sense, but there's something inside that compels you to lash out, to be vocal, more vocal than you would ever be. I've been cutting lines at grocery stores very deliberately, and I wouldn't yell at them the way I would yell at Kenyon Barner for the Oregon Ducks when he drops a punt. But it's that sort of thing. Like, you feel like entitled to voice that opinion because you pay money to support, you pay money to watch. You do all these things, and you feel like you have a right to. But yeah, there's clearly a line, and it does seem like I remember when New England went to Mexico for the play the Raiders, the Mexico City game.
Yeah.
Same thing happened. You had fans. New England scored a touchdown, and you had fans throwing stuff at them in the end zone.
Yeah,
It just seems a common denominator that Mexico and sports, maybe the U.S. should just stay away from there.
Yeah, well, they can't because they're in their league. You know what I mean? That they have to.
I know.
Olympic or World Cup qualifying. That's their main rival, and so you're going to.
By the way,
a lot
CONCACAF means the Confederation of North, Central America, and Caribbean Association Football.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And so there you go.
Fun fact.
that is a fun trivia fact that you can recite at parties.
We need to get the more you know, like was that CBS like
NBC the little star
NBC thing.
Across.
Yeah. We need to have that sound that pops up anytime somebody gives a fact on here.
Well, I think this is the first time we've ever actually given a fact. But anyway, I don't know.
It's fair.
Yeah, so U.S. men's team was playing earlier, and they were winning. I don't have the current score up. They were playing on Costa Rica in a international friendly, and they were up 3-0 in the second half. I'm assuming they won. I haven't seen the final score, but we could probably, if we were smart, we could probably figure it out.
Hold on. We're
because
not smart,
because this is what we do.
U.S. won 4-0 over Costa Rica.
Yeah, it looked easy. They
were handling them.
Yeah, they looked really good. So this is a really good United States men's national team. This is better than they've had in the past. They've got way more talent in a lot more positions rather than just one or two superstars. In the past, it was Clint Dempsey, Landon Donovan. Those guys were carrying the team, and then you worried about everybody else. And this year, they've got a lot of young players that are really, really good. So it'll be exciting to watch.
Is this the group of kids playing soccer? So, because like a lot of these U.S. men's national team players are, like 18 to 22, 23 years old. Mm-hmm. Is this group of kids the kids that watched the soccer teams start to get good in the early thousands and stuff like that? Are those these kids now playing and producing for the USA?
Yeah, it's a lot of these kids are exactly 23, 24.
Yeah,
they're in that ballpark. And a couple of them are one of them's 20 that I was watching today in the starting line. One of them's 20, and one of them's 21 in 6 months or something. And so they're young players, but they have literally grown up with U.S. soccer. And Giovanni Reyna is the son of former U.S. midfielder and team captain Claudio Reyna. So he's been around a couple Sundays around soccer. So, but he's really, really good as well. He did not play today. There are a lot of Christian Pulisic didn't play today. They sat out 4 starters today, and they won 4-0 over a team that's in their World Cup qualifying region.
No big deal.
Yeah, I mean, no big deal. So it's all good.
No big deal. U.S. soccer's killing it.
They could have been 100% better probably, but they rested the guys. So I'm like, wow, that is crazy. They've been really, really good. So anyway, if you get a chance to watch the U.S. men's national team, and I don't know, let me look actually because I could probably tell you the next game because they have another game coming shortly, but I don't have the schedule. Why is okay, this is funny. If you go onto their page, the United States has the 2019 schedule up, which clearly isn't. Their next match is part of the CONCACAF Gold Cup.
Ooh.
And that starts Sunday, June 11th. It's yet to be determined who's the draw for the Gold Cup, that first game, but they're going to play in the Gold Cup, which is another big tournament, but it's basically the exact same thing as the Nations League, only it's a Gold Cup. I don't know why they do that, but there it is.
It's exciting.
It is. It's fun to watch. So if you watch the U.S., they've been a lot better than they have in previous years. I think people would be surprised at how good they are. If you're a soccer fan at all, tune in and watch them. So big news in the NBA. Yesterday, Nikola Jokic was named the NBA MVP, becoming just the 6th international player to win an NBA MVP award. Jokic was drafted 41st overall by Denver in 2014 and is the first NBA player drafted in the second round to win the award. He averaged 26.4 points, 8.3 assists, and 10.8 rebounds per game, all career bests this year.
Damn near a double-double.
Yeah, he was
a triple-double.
Yeah,
triple-double.
He was one of 11 players to play in all 72 games this season. in the NBA.
Imagine that, a center with longevity. That's a thing.
Right? We would know
I
about
wish
that.
the Blazers could have anything like that.
He won 91 of 101 first place votes and won basically in a landslide over Joel Embiid, who was second, and Steph Curry, who was third. The one fan vote, in case you guys didn't know, it, the fans get one vote, so they basically take a fan poll. You can vote, and the person who gets the player who gets the most votes from the fans gets one first place vote in the voting, in the MVP voting. That went to New York Knicks guard Derrick Rose,
Which is awesome.
which is awesome, but it was his only vote.
Nobody's mad about Derrick Rose
No,
getting love because he's not. I don't think he's a starting point guard anymore, but he's a fantastic backup point guard.
yeah.
He's fantastic. He's borderline 6 man of the year.
Yeah, no, he's been really good and helped the New York Knicks make the playoffs for the first time in what ever. So
Forever since the 90s, I think.
At least it seemed like it anyway. They were pretty bad. But on the flip side,
Jokic is only the second center, by the way, since 2000.
Right. Yeah, and centers are bad. That's going to lead us, by the way, to our trivia question, because that's what we do. So the Best Lamb Sports Show trivia question is brought to you by Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. They're open at both locations. The winery at the Vineyard, 3827 Fletcher Drive, is open for patio dining, and the downtown tasting room at 210 Oak Street. Go to stavenstone.com, check out their selection of award-winning wines, make a reservation, right, and go taste for yourself. Call 541-946-3750. That's 541-WINE-750. You can email them, info@stavenstone.com for more information. Stone, wines with personality. So the trivia question is MVP related, because today's the
MVP.
Yeah, today's the MVP. Here's the question. Are you ready?
Yep.
I ask you every time, and so far you've gotten like one right. So,
that's not even close to being true. I would say this is the 50th episode, and of those 50 shows, I've gotten 20 right.
Oh, come on now. Well, all right. You know
20?
what?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I will do the research, and on episode 51, I will let you know what your statistics are. So,
okay,
there you go. Anyway, here's the trivia question. What NBA MVP played in the fewest games in the season he won the award? That's your question. Is that what tricky? Yeah, played in the fewest amount.
One more
of games.
time. Say it again one more time.
What NBA MVP played in the fewest amount of games in the season in which he won the award? Which NBA MVP has played in the fewest games and still won the MVP award? That's the question, right? That's a tricky question. So,
all right, I got my answer. I'm locking it in.
I hope locking it in. You gonna tell us?
I'm gonna put my wager in now, and then then we'll do it later.
Got it. This is like Final Jeopardy. You're just gonna hide it until we. Okay, gotcha.
That's right. Well, till the end, yeah.
I understand. I'm with you. So the Blazers, unfortunately, were bounced from the NBA playoffs following a 126-115 loss to the Denver Nuggets in Game 6 of their series. Blazers really just had no answer for the MVP, Jokic. Denver scored 50 points in the paint to Portland's 38. Portland, the next day, fired head coach Terry Stotts.
They parted ways.
Okay.
They mutually agreed to part ways, which means, hey, Terry, you can leave or we're going to bounce you.
I mean, all right. Forced resignation. Is that better?
Forced. That doesn't even sound. Yeah, it all sounds awful. No matter what way you say it, sounds awful.
How you want to say it, but he was not going to be the Portland coach next year, no matter what.
Right. They were going to fire. They told him either we're going to fire you or you can leave with dignity. That's your call.
It's the same thing. Forced resignation.
But everyone knows what happened.
Everyone knows what happens. So GM Neil Olshey saying this first round loss was not a product of the roster. That was his quote in an interview.
What an idiot.
It is spoken like someone who has a job that he is trying not to lose. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I need to blame some. Because because what was he gonna say? Oh yeah, it was absolutely the roster, and we made the wrong roster moves.
Right.
That you're not going to cut your own throat. So I mean, clearly,
what I would say is this is consistent with how teams go. You change players. If players don't cut it, you change coaches. If coaches don't cut it, you change GMs.
Yeah, he's next.
So I would say he's absolutely next. I thought he was going to go now because people were calling for his head years ago before they were calling for Terry's. But
he's a super.
Either here or there.
He used to be the assistant GM at the Clippers back in the day. Right. And he's a super. He's a good face for the franchise. He looks
He's
good. He
charismatic.
sounds good. He's charismatic. He looks good. He sounds good. He has that ability to woo. Let's say that woo. People.
I just want a basketball fan,
Right.
I want a Steve Ballmer. That's the coach of the Clippers, right?
Clippers. Yeah, that GM,
Do you
the
ever
owner.
watch him? He's the owner.
Yeah, he's
He's
the owner.
the owner. Mega Millions guy.
Yeah, yeah.
He's sitting there on the sideline getting jacked and dancing for dance
You're
cams
right.
and celebrating. I want a coach or a GM. Well, not a coach. I want a coach to be level-headed, but I want a GM to be like that. I want a GM to want to watch good basketball. It
Well,
might make him actually pick up players that are important.
it makes it interesting when you watch owners at sporting events. You know what I mean? The way they react and
Right.
the way they behave, and the NBA has some owners that are not super old. You know what I mean? That can, and by comparison, I'm comparing them to NFL owners like Jerry Jones, who's what 104, and
A lot of NFL owners are a little
they're
older.
really old. And
A lot of gray hairs.
yeah, they sit up in their box, way up at the top of the stadium, and they watch, and they get fed lobster and steak and champagne. And I get it, and that's great, but they're not in touch with what's happening. Although Jerry Jones tries to touch everything that's happening with the Dallas Cowboys, he might not be the best example, but that hasn't been great for him either. What I'm saying is the NBA guys, you watch the NBA owners, even Paul Allen would sit courtside, Mark Cuban courtside. These
Right.
guys sit right down there. I like Mark Cuban. He is excited. He is into the game. He was shooting shots at the last playoff game.
I saw that. That
Yeah.
was really cool. Could
Yeah.
you imagine being a player and your owner walks on the court, says, "Hit me,"
Yeah, right.
puts his hands up, says, "Pass me
Absolutely.
the ball. I got this."
You've got to
That
have
would just be so cool.
mad respect for a guy like that because he's in touch. You know what I mean? He knows what's going on. You can relate to him. But not that you can't relate to Paul Allen, but it's a different. He's not an athlete. You know what I mean? Mark Cuban has at least a little athlete in him. So, but
Right.
anyway, you're right. I think you want someone who's energetic, who's exciting. You know what I mean? Who's into it right from the get go. You want that guy as you want your owner that way. You want your GM that way. I kind of want my coach that way, not to lose control, but to be in the game right from the get go. You know what I mean? On fire. This is us. This is what we do. Let's go. And
Yeah, you just want him to be. You want your coach to be able to be somewhat dispassionate though, and not get too swept. I want to when Dame hits a three for the winner, for a game winner. I want my coach to jump up and down.
yeah,
I would love that. I would love that energy for him to be as excited as any fan or any player on the bench. However, when things aren't going well, I don't want him to be emotional.
right.
That's the exact opposite of
Which-
what I want. So I need
guess
to
that's
have
true.
that balance.
Well,
You don't want your coach yelling at your players because they made a bad pass. You want him to be like, "All right, it's okay. It's okay. We'll come back."
You kind of want him doing that tiger fist pump, right? When he makes a putt, right?
That's
that
right.
dagger. Oh, this is it.
I did that after I got my first car.
There you go. and to be fair, that's just like eagling something for a professional. You're like pretty
So
excited,
on the
about
subject
it.
of the Blazers,
Yeah.
do you think that Jody Allen should sell the team?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I worry that, obviously Paul had passion for sports. He owned a couple sports teams. He went to a lot of the sporting events. He was around. He cheered. He wasn't like exuberant out of his seat like Steve Ballmer is, but he was definitely more into it than just, a passerby. Jody doesn't sit courtside. Unless I think she sat courtside during the playoffs, I think once, maybe twice.
I don't.
Otherwise, she's in a box and she's a little dispassionate. And I'm not sure that the spirit of the team needs a passive owner.
Well,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, I like I said, I would like them to be into it and down there with the fans and being part of it. You know what I mean? I think
Right.
that's a good representation of the team. If you're your owner's down there getting hot and fired up and arguing referee calls and things like that, that
kind of cool.
that's that you can get behind that and fans get behind that. I don't blame her if she's not necessarily a basketball fan because this was obviously Paul Allen's team. He bought it. He probably didn't buy it for her. So
Oh, he bought it for himself. Yeah.
I mean, he did what he wanted. And I
He
don't.
said, I've always wanted to sit courtside, and then he
Right.
just bought a team.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't that be nice? That's a rough life to have.
I will never understand how you're an owner and your seats aren't like 50-yard line center court. Why are your seats on an end?
You know what? I'll be honest with you about this. Here's what I know. I know about NFL football. I would not want them to be right on the field, like right down, because the best seats in an
Well,
NFL game
no,
are not right
NFL's
down
a
there.
different.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
But you want your box to be 50-yard line. You
Yeah,
just don't want
absolutely.
to be on the field.
Right.
But in an NBA game,
Oh, they
I mean, I would have 3 sets of seats. I'd have one underneath each basket, and then one right dead center was where I'd start the game.
and I'd swap each quarter or wherever. You know what I mean? When we swap ends,
That's right.
I just swap.
That's right. Stay always in your team's vision. Let them know that you work for me, bud.
Right. Hold up a sign that says if you don't make this, you're fired. Anyway,
Oh, that would be hilarious.
I don't know.
I feel like Jerry Jones has done that with his eyes.
Jerry Jones.
Tony, if you don't complete this pass, you're fired.
We'll have to ask Tony Romo next time he's on the show and see what happens.
Yeah. Next time. The first time did not go so well.
Yeah. I don't know who's going to be the Blazers coach next year. Right now, put it down. I'm write it down on paper, so it better be right.
It's going to be Chauncey Billups.
It's going to be Chauncey Billups. I'm writing it.
It should be Alvin Gentry. It should be one of those guys. And after this whole Jason Kidd debacle, which for those of you who don't know, Dame said that he wanted Jason Kidd as a coach to somebody, and through mediums it came out. And then Jason Kidd said he removed his name from consideration because he was worried that it would compromise the coaching search, which I actually get, because if your superstar says, I want this person, and then you don't get that person, what are you saying to your superstar?
And
so he kind of influenced the system. By him removing his own name, there's no responsibility on the
right. And you're cutting out on me. There's that technical difficulty that we have every once in a while.
Organization. I kind of liked it.
Yeah. I feel like
technical difficulties happen.
I know. I feel like Neil O'Shea literally threw him under the bus, Damian Lillard, and said, well, that was unfortunate that came out. And I'm like, why? He's expressing who he wants to have be his head coach. Why would you not want to hear what he has to say? And why should everyone not hear what he has to say? You know what I mean? This is the guy who's made your franchise what it is right now, which, to be honest with you, is a first-round loser. But he could go somewhere else. He could absolutely go somewhere else and be a superstar or a third star.
Say he wants to be traded tomorrow.
Yeah, and somebody would take him up in a heartbeat. There'd be a team waiting to take him.
I think that we could get 2 first-round picks and a good player for Damian Lillard.
Wow. Maybe for the right team.
I think he's a top 3 point guard in the league.
But I think what he wants more than anything, like most athletes, he wants to win a title, right?
And he wants to win it here.
Yeah,
that's a great thing. Said that he wants to do it here.
Yeah.
Why would we do anything but give this man every bit of help we can?
Whatever he wants. And if he says that Jason Kidd is the guy, then go get Jason Kidd.
I get it. I agree, but it's also good that Jason Kidd realized that, hey, I might not be the best fit there, but if you don't come after me now, Dame might be pissed. So I'm going to say I don't want to come here. And he might still end up here. Who knows, right?
Yeah,
There's still a lot of time left.
There's still a lot of time.
But he says, I can't come there. And that takes the pressure off of what Dame wanted. Well, it's no longer available. And it takes the pressure off of you. Now I don't have to go after this person. Yeah. So I understood it. It seemed like a cop-out. But also, Jason Kidd's coached 3 teams. And all 3 teams have been terrible. So I'm not necessarily excited. I'm not necessarily excited about that prospect. I mean, none of those teams had a Damian Lillard.
Right.
But I'm not necessarily excited about it. But yeah, I'm Chauncey Billups. Put it in stone.
Put it in stone. I spelled it with an extra oncy. So there you go. It's on here.
Chauncey.
Let's move into the series that are going on right now. Clippers Jazz is game 1 was last night in Salt Lake City. Utah came back.
Fantastic.
It was a good game to watch if you didn't watch it. Utah came back from being down 13 points at the half to beat LA 112-109. Clippers had a chance to tie at the end, but Rudy Gobert got a hand on Marcus Morris's 3-point attempt, and it preserved the victory. It was a good ending. It was a good game to watch. Donovan Mitchell had 45 from Utah, and they almost wasted that. He has the most points in 3 games. Was it 3 games? Wait, hold on. I saw the stat earlier. Now I can't remember it. I didn't write it down. It wasn't my stat, but they said he's had the most points in his first 3 playoff games of anyone ever, other than him. because he did it last year and he had
So
more.
he's number one.
Yeah, and
Oh my gosh.
wow, 45 points is a lot of points to put up in a playoff game.
Donovan Mitchell might be the most disrespected point guard. Well, he's a shooting guard. I don't know. Call him what you want. He might be the most disrespected guard in the league in that nobody gives him the true time of day. Like people disrespect Russell Westbrook because they think that he's padding stats. That's a different kind of disrespect. People just don't think about Donovan Mitchell. People are like, oh, you got Steph, you got Dame, you got these other guards, you got Kyrie, you got these other guards. They start listing off all these guards, and then eventually you're like, well, what about Donovan Mitchell? Like, oh yeah, he's pretty good too. And it's like, no, he's fantastic. He's stellar. He's 40 points a game stellar.
Yeah,
he's really good.
He's even better in the playoffs than he is like during the regular season. He steps it up a notch, and that's what you need. That's what you want. Anyway,
AJ, who's been on the show a couple times, people has given me a lot of flack because I'm a Donovan Mitchell supporter. I've often believed that he's really good, and so this year he's a big Luka fan. I'm a big Donovan Mitchell fan, and it didn't work out for Luka, but it's working out for D Mitch, so we're doing well. It's a good year.
Let's move to the East real quick. The Nets and the Bucks. Nets have a 2-0 series lead after beating Milwaukee 115-107 in Game 1 on Saturday and 125-86 in Game 2 on Monday. That's an absolute thrashing, by the way.
Just crushed them.
Kevin Durant scored 29 in Game 1 and 32 in Game 2 to lead Brooklyn. Giannis Antetokounmpo, in case you guys don't know his whole name and try spelling that, had 34 in Game 1 and 18 in Game 2. He was actually the scoring leader in Game 2, but they only scored 86 points, so... Game 3 is Thursday night at 4:30 Pacific, and that's on ESPN if you want to watch it. The Nets look like they're dominant.
So, Louise.
And they did
everyone
it without James
talked
Harden.
about what could this team. Right, exactly. 2 games, and James Harden played I think 5 minutes of the first game.
Right.
2 games without James Harden. They haven't had any issues, no problems. This is supposed to be one of the best. This is the 3rd best team in the East.
Yeah.
No problems. No, they're okay. We'll go ahead and beat them by a quick 50 point or 50. It's no big deal.
And they're going to be without Harden and Green in Game 3.
Green's a pretty big loss, but I just don't know how you're ever going to stop them.
It's still Kyrie and Kevin Durant. I mean, without them, you know what I mean? They're still good.
Right.
And
you talk about what happens if your star player doesn't have a great night. What happens if your second star player doesn't have a great night? Well, now what happens if your third star player doesn't have a great night? Well, that's not going to happen.
That's not a big deal, really.
With the Blazers, you got the 1 and then a bunch of other dudes.
Right.
With them, you got the 3 and then 2 other dudes. So it's just they'll be fine.
Yeah, I think they're the best team in the East, regardless of how they finished, and they finished second to the Sixers, but I still think they're the best team in the East. And
talent-wise, I think they're the best team in the NBA.
When they're healthy, they're probably the best team in the NBA. But even without one,
that's true.
They're still the best team in the East.
I know. I've seen them blow out a couple different teams here and there, and they've always done it without Harden.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Harden's the thing that's holding them back. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Just saying.
Hawks and Sixers. That series is tied at 1 after the Hawks won Game 1 in Philly, 128-24 on Sunday. Sixers won Game 2, 118-102 last night. NBA MVP runner-up Joel Embiid scored 40 in last night's win. That series goes to Atlanta for Game 3 on Friday at 4:30, also on ESPN. That's an interesting series right now. Joel Embiid responded exactly how you would hope a MVP caliber player would respond to losing Game 1 at home, and that was, we're not going to do that again. So
no, that was unacceptable. Let's step it up.
Yeah. But I still think Atlanta poses some challenging matchup issues. Trae Young had an off night last night, but I still think that he poses some matchup issues. He's a tough guy to guard. I mean, he's wiry. He's fast. Yeah. He gets open. They know how to get him the ball. He knows how to distribute the ball. It's hard to guard a guy like that who does many things well. So I don't know. It was Shake Milton also. Let's give Shake Milton some props for the Sixers because he was good last night too. He helped them. I mean, they didn't need a ton of help, but it's when your players like that are coming to play. When you got a guy like Shake Milton who's coming to play in a playoff game, well, by gosh, that's going to help your team. So
makes you a lot more of a threat.
Right, correct. When it's a guy you didn't expect. So you expect Simmons and Embiid to be good, but
Their team didn't shoot terrible. The Hawks, they shot 45% from the field, 36% from three, but those are very average numbers when you think that the Hawks usually shoot 40-something% from three. Trae Young was 1 of 7.
Right.
So those are a lot of heaves that don't go. And they're not the team that's going to rebound the 76ers most of the time. The 76ers are much bigger. So yeah, they don't have to play that well every night, the 76ers don't. But they need Trae Young to play down or to push him down a little bit every night.
Game 3 on ESPN Friday night. Go watch it. It's going to be that's probably one of the best series to watch. I think is going to be that Hawks Sixers series because I don't think the Sixers are as good as the number 1 seed that they got.
Agreed.
But I think the Hawks have played better than they probably are too. As a 5 seed, I think they're playing better than they probably have a right to. So house money. You're playing with house money now. Once you win that first series.
Oh, it's free. Yeah. I mean, you've done fantastic to this point. Maybe you sneak one more at home if you're lucky.
Right.
I still think it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. I think that it's going to be a 5-1, but maybe you sneak one more if you're lucky, and you go there. So
maybe. So
but I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen.
Last series we got to talk about Nuggets Suns. The Phoenix Suns lead 1-0 coming in today after winning Game 1, 122-105 on Monday night. Chris Paul had 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 11 assists. I don't know why I had trouble saying that. But anyway, for Phoenix, Nikola Jokic had 22 points and 9 rebounds for the Nuggets. They're currently in the middle, and literally right in the middle, of Game 2 in Phoenix, and it's 52-42 Suns. And that game's on TNT if you want to watch the second half of it. That's Phoenix. I feel like Phoenix is way better than Denver. And I could be wrong.
They seem like it. That's for sure.
But Devin Booker, Chris Paul, I feel like even Crowder, I feel like that group is a better group than what the Nuggets put out there on the floor right now. And to be fair, I don't think the Nuggets are still playing. They're not full strength still.
Well, they're not. But this was a team that bounced Portland out so either Portland's terrible and they're not that good, or Portland's decent and they're pretty good, but the Suns are better. Which I think is more towards the case.
Will Barton has played 9 minutes in this game, scored 7 points for Denver, so that he's back from injury.
I remember when the Blazers traded Will Barton.
Yeah,
got rid of him.
So they didn't need him at that point. So
yeah, anyway. We didn't have a problem scoring points.
Right. Yeah, that was the thing. So anyway,
Suns are a much better team, a much more well-rounded team. Jokic is fantastic, MVP obviously, but the Suns will handle this team. And they were losing this game. The Suns were losing that first game.
Yeah.
By 8 points or so, and they went on this crazy run. Next thing you know, I turned off the game. I turned it back on later. Next thing you know, they're up like 20-something points.
Yeah.
And I was like, what happened?
Yeah, and Devin Booker is one of those players also who can take over a game and just turn it around. He's capable of filling the basket up real fast, just
really fast.
Yeah, scoring points in bunches. If you watch the second half tonight, Game 3 is 7 p.m. on Friday night in Denver. Just FYI. Okay, so that brings us, I guess, to the halfway. We're a little over halfway. We have very little left, but that's okay. Kind of the halfway point.
Sort of halfway.
Sort of. Let's call it the 60% point. Second half of the show brought to you by Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Be sure to tune in to BossKittyLive.com at 6 p.m. every Monday and Wednesday, 11 a.m. every other Sunday for fun, fiber, games, tutorials. Just tune in. You'll like it. Watch it. It's kind of, even if you're not a knitter, they have a lot of fun. They talk about all that stuff. They play games. You can literally watch them create something out of yarn, and it's amazing to me that is even a thing because I have no ability whatsoever to do that. So anyway, tune in. Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Go to Boss Kitty shop. You can buy gift cards. You can get the yarn. They've got all kinds of merchandise that you can purchase right there. And if you know a knitter in your family, get them the gift card, the virtual gift card. They can use it online. Get whatever they want. So that's Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Yarn so boss, you'll knit your pants. So second half of the show is, let's talk about the French Open real quick. And sure. So what happened in the French Open in the women's side, and I want to talk about the women's side specifically. In the men's side, we can talk about the men's side first. That's Roger Federer withdrawing because he's old.
Right.
There's been a lot of that in this tournament.
Yeah, he's an older guy.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in this tournament, by the way. There's been a lot of withdrawing in this tournament from people that have injuries. I don't know if it's just spring thing or if it's just the fact that we've got an aging group of tennis players. I have no idea. But for the first time in the Open era, the French Open women's singles bracket will not have any of the top five seeds in the quarterfinals. Number eight seed Iga is her name. Iga Swiatek from Poland was the highest remaining seed until she lost in today's quarterfinals to number 17 Maria Sakkari from Greece in straight sets. So there's only two seeded women who made it to the semifinals, and that's Sakkari, number 17, and she's going to take on Barbara Krejcikova of the Czech Republic, unseeded, and number 32 seed Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. That's a terrible name. It's of Russia, and she's going to go up against Tamara Zidansek of Slovenia. Those semifinals,
terrible name.
They're all terrible names. Those, you know what? The whole Eastern Bloc thing: Krejcikova, Pavlyuchenkova, right? Zidansek. Those are anyway. Those semifinals are set for tomorrow, and they start at 9 a.m. Eastern. So it's really early because it's in France. You might have to hunt for those matches. I'm not 100% certain. They were less than forthcoming as to what channel they'd be on, but I assume they're on NBC. But if not, NBC Sports and the tennis channel would be your options for watching women's French Open. The men's side is going to be Rafael Nadal. He won again today. He's into the semis. He's the best clay court player that's been in the history of clay court tennis. And he's going to win again. I mean, you can just write it down. Novak Djokovic is also in the semis, the number one seed. I don't think he stands a chance on the clay. He may be the best player in the world, but not on clay. So, anyway, that's just my opinion. What do I know?
Hey, you at least know a little bit about tennis. I am not super knowledgeable about tennis.
Well, there you go. Anyway, so let's talk about golf. We like golf. Spanish PGA golfer Jon Rahm was going to be the third-round leader of the Memorial Golf Tournament this past weekend. He shot rounds of 69, 65, and 64, and he had a six-shot lead before he learned that his COVID test at the end of the second round had come back positive, and he was forced to withdraw. So this is the second time he's had to withdraw from a tournament because of a positive COVID test. Begs the question that I have. Well, there's a couple of them. The first one is why. Why are you not vaccinated? Not that you have to be, and I'm not trying to shame anybody, but I feel like if this is how you make money, and if he had been vaccinated, they wouldn't have tested him daily, right? And he probably wouldn't have got a positive test, right? Period.
Yeah.
So he would have won, and so eventually, I'm just saying this positive test cost him $1.674 million.
Woo.
That's a lot of money.
Is that worth the vaccination?
Right. I feel like it is. I would definitely do it again for $1.674 million. And then when you're not vaccinated, why are you hanging around with people who may or may not have had it, and you're a close contact risk now, and they contact tracing, and that's how they ended up figuring out that he was in contact, and they kept anyway. Long story short, he as he came off the green after the 18th green on the third round, that was when they had double verified the test at the end of the second round and told him, nah, sorry, you got to go. He doesn't need the money.
Just think about that moment. I try to, where you have to be the person to come up and tell him, because more than likely they don't call him. More than likely they have a person who has to walk up to him and say, hey, man, so I'm gonna need you. No, don't come any closer. I need you to stand right over there. I gotta tell you something. No, don't come any closer. Stay over there. You've been tested positive. Fans, get back.
I feel like, and I feel like
it's a whole moment where you have to warn everybody. Any fan who attended that day,
right,
is now an exposure risk if he was within 10 feet of you or so.
You high-fived him coming off the fifth green.
He made that sweet chip, right? And you gave him the high five because he walked over to you, or you had to back up because his ball landed near you and out of bounds or wherever, and this whole thing.
Right. His caddy.
There's 1,000 instances. His caddy is now at risk, and his caddy didn't know that going into this.
His three playing partners from the first, second, and third round, and their caddies.
It's just a selfish.
It is.
It's a selfish thing. If you're not going to get vaccinated, whatever.
Stay home.
You know what? You don't have to. You don't even have to stay home, but you need to wear your mask.
Oh, well, that would be
100%. And you need to tell everyone around you that you're not vaccinated.
Well,
so that way they can wear their
it,
mask if they choose to,
it's
and
a,
at that point it's their own decision.
yeah, and I get it's a deeply personal choice for people, and I understand that. But I
It's
feel like
it's
if
it's not that deep personal.
I feel
Everyone
like
gets the polio vaccine. Go and get your damn vaccine.
but I feel like if you're going to be out in the public as for a living, like an athlete,
Right.
there's no choice. Just go get the shots. Go get done. And that way you don't have to worry about it anymore. But why would you not? I mean, that's what you do for a living is go out and be in the public eye on TV and around crowds. Why would you not take every precaution? I don't know.
I want to say it's he's
Yeah, lost you again.
you know he's from Sigma.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
anyway, let's
Yeah.
move. Let's move. So
Yep.
we got our golf in. That was pretty fun. I just go get vaccinated. That's all I'm saying, John Rahm.
Pretty
I
easy.
mean, it's pretty easy.
You
Let's
don't have to
talk
worry about you can make an extra $1 million.
right an extra $1.674 million. By the way,
Round it up, that's two, bro.
it. I mean, if that's how you do your accounting, then yeah,
With
uh,
taxes, you should really round down.
you really should. So NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, and by the way, I'm just gonna say this: Stanley Cup. There's a name to the playoffs. What are the NBA playoffs called?
Well, the NBA playoffs are called the what is the name of the
That's not
oh my
called.
gosh, I
They don't
forgot what the
call
name of
them
the
that.
thing.
It's the Larry O'Brien Trophy, but that's not
No.
what they call it. It's the NBA
Yeah,
playoffs.
I know. But you could call it
You could.
the Larry O'Brien playoffs.
You could. And the
But you
NFL,
just don't.
the
You just
NFL
don't.
could call it the same thing, but they don't call it that. It's the NFL playoffs.
Call it the Lombardi playoffs. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it's a foreign sport. It's how they do it.
I like the name Stanley Cup playoffs. These are the Stanley Cup playoffs. I like that name.
Right.
I just like the way it rolls off your tongue. Anyway, what do I know? So Islanders and Bruins played Game 6 today. By the way, with the Islanders holding a 3-2 series lead, and as it turns out, the Islanders were able to close out the Bruins tonight with a 6-2 win at home.
Yeah.
So they are going to move on to the conference finals, and they will play. Having a little trouble there. They're going to play the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah, I mean, little Pizza Hut commercial. We can't argue with that. But they're going to play the Tampa Bay Lightning, who were winners earlier. But 6-2 is a rout, and the Bruins were in these games for the most part until tonight, and they were right there. But it turned out to be a good series if you watched it. That was a exciting playoff series until tonight's game. But it was 1-1 at the end of one. It was close, and then all of a sudden, the Islanders exploded. Anyway, so they're going to play the Tampa Bay Lightning, who were winners over the Carolina Hurricanes 4-1 in their series. They beat Carolina 2-0 in Game 5 on Tuesday.
Just ran through them.
Yeah, Ross Colton and Braden Point each scored for Tampa Bay, and Andrei Vasilevsky made 29 saves for the shutout win. They're going to face, like I said, the Islanders for a chance to go to the finals, which is going to be good hockey. Lightning's last year's champion, and the Islanders are clearly hot and coming out of that East Division. So, also, the Montreal Canadiens beat the Winnipeg Jets. They're on their hot playoff run. They beat Winnipeg 3-2 in overtime on Monday to sweep the series 4-0. It was the Canadiens' seventh straight playoff win. They were down 3-1, if you remember, to Toronto. And then they won three straight, and now they've swept the Jets. So they're hot. Tyler Toffoli scored a game-winning goal a minute and 39 seconds into overtime on Monday night, and the Canadiens are going to face the winner of the Las Vegas Golden Knights Colorado Avalanche series, which is going on right now. And the Golden Knights have a 3-2 series lead after beating Colorado 3-2 in overtime last night. Knights were down 2-0 entering the third when Alex Tuch and Jonathan Marchessault each scored to tie it up and send it to overtime. 50 seconds into overtime, Mark Stone beat the defense down the ice and just moved right in and scored a snapshot on the glove side to beat the goalie, and Vegas wins. And so they're one win away, Las Vegas, from being in the
they're close.
conference finals, if you want to call them that. I don't know what they're calling them this year. The Stanley Cup semifinals? Let's just call them that.
Sure.
Okay. But it's been good hockey. We
It's been really good.
the Avalanche were just going to roll over the top of Las Vegas. Win those
Well,
first
and
two
they
games.
started to.
Yeah, and then now it's been 3 straight, right, by the Avalanche or by the Knights, and so
Yeah.
who knows where we're going to
And
go.
and that the Knights' first win was okay. Their second win was decisive. Their third win here was back to being a little tighter. So hopefully, hopefully the Avs put together. We can see a nice long series here.
So game 6 is tomorrow night in Las Vegas for a chance for the Knights to clinch and move along. So it's been good. I've liked watching. I like watching playoff hockey. I'll be honest, in
Sure.
that regular season hockey sometimes is it's like watching baseball. It's not as slow, but it's a lot like that, especially when there's nobody scores or it's 1-0. Even somebody scores in the first minute and then there's nothing. It's kind of boring sometimes. But playoff hockey has this little air to it, and all the games seem to be, you never know what's going to happen. So it's more fun to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just wrong. I don't like playoff.
You're not. It is way better. All play. That's not a hot. It's the least hot take. It's the coolest take ever.
I don't.
Playoff sports are better.
I
Duh.
don't. Well, I will tell you that playoff baseball is worse than regular baseball, and I'll tell you because
why is it worse?
Because it takes longer. There's more commercial breaks. Everybody's making it. Oh, we got to make a decision about this. So there's more
presentation. The presentation of it is not as good, but the actual play is better.
I don't like it. I don't like playoff baseball. I like World Series baseball. I don't like the playoff baseball to get there. It just seems to be more drawn out, and there's a lot less action and a lot more TV, and I don't like.
Sure.
That. But anyway, that's just me. That's how I feel. Let's talk about Major League Baseball for just a second because we have one thing to talk about. And that is the fact that there may or may not be some doctoring of baseballs going on in Major League Baseball right now.
May or may not.
May or may not. And the reason I say may or may not is because no one's proven anything at this point. But no hitters are up, strikeouts are up. Ball. You're going to hear things if you go look into this. You're going to hear things like spin rate, ball spin rate. Is increased. Well, how does that happen? Well, people are putting stuff on the ball to give them better grip, and it makes easier spin on the ball. It makes the ball go faster. It makes it spin tighter. It makes the ball move more. So it helps the pitcher quite a bit. And that may all be to combat the fact that we probably think the balls are juiced or the bats are corked or whatever. But it's a noticeable increase this year in strikeouts, in no hitters, in zeros being on the scoreboard. There's a lot more of them this year, so it's interesting. But Garrett Cole, pitcher for the New York Yankees, he's in his 9th season, by the way. Pitched for the Astros and I don't know, somebody else. But he started his career with Pittsburgh, with the Pittsburgh Pirates. But anyway, he was asked recently in an interview about a product called Spider Tack. Spider Tack is one of those.
Spider Tack.
It's one of the. It is exactly like you'd think it would be when you say it. You're thinking of Spider-Man gripping stuff and climbing up. Yeah, Spider Tack. He was asked if he'd ever used it, and I'm going to play that clip for you now because the answer was, what's the term I'm looking for? Amazing. Here you go.
And have you ever used Spider Tack while pitching?
I don't know. I don't know if I don't quite know how to answer that, to be honest. I mean, there are customs and practices that have been passed down from older players to younger players, from the last generation of players to this generation of players. And, I think there are some things that are certainly out of bounds in that regard.
So that was basically, so everyone knows, that was Garrett Cole of the New York Yankees stumbling over an answer that was a yes or no question.
Yeah.
And as I heard earlier today, if the answer is not yes, if the answer is not no, it's yes.
Yeah. I mean, if I asked you, hey, have you ever been to the North Pole? And you go, well, I don't know what constitutes the North Pole. It's like, okay, the answer is no. Then.
Well, that might be
The answer is no.
that might be a
But if I
geographical
well,
no.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah.
Well, but the point is, if I ask you a question,
Right.
and one answer's good and one answer's bad, and you try to default towards the good answer,
Yeah.
then the real answer is probably the bad one. It's
Yeah.
probably this man has used spider tack 100%.
Yeah, yes. Yeah,
Nobody in America believes that he hasn't used spider tack.
No.
Nobody.
No.
Except for maybe Yankees fans because they're in denial.
That was one. I tried to explain it earlier. I said that was one of the best answers from a journalist's standpoint, right? For something you can grab a hold of.
That was a gold mine.
It was gold. It was just gold. But for his answer, for him personally, that was probably you'd have been better saying just no comment. You know what I mean? You would have been better off just,
I love that he stares into the camera for a second, goes, well, I don't know if.
Right.
Well, so I know what he was getting at there was, I don't know if I should comment on this. I don't know if I should speak to this. I don't know if I should say something. That's what he was going to say. But he said, I don't know if, and then he stopped and he goes, I don't know how to answer that.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, thank you.
I think what he wanted to say was, I don't know if I'm allowed to answer that, honestly. Because I might get in trouble.
Well, that's true. And I'll give him a little leeway with this is that, he's dealing with the league is watching these. His team is watching these. Other pitchers are watching these. Future teams are watching these.
Yeah.
That reporter put him in a terrible position. Let's all admit that.
Yeah.
But he put him in a position that we all want to know about.
And because it's a common, we think it's a common thing. As reporters, this is a thing. It's happening in Major League Baseball, whether he's doing it or not, and obviously he is, or he would have said no. But look, can we talk about the elephant in the room? And I'm going to change the picture back to what we saw just a minute ago. I'm not going to run the clip, but I want you to see something. What is up with that piece of hair that sticks straight out the side of his head? What is up with that? He couldn't use some of that spider tack and tack that down? Anyway,
I don't. There is a Yankee personnel member, part of their press corps, who's getting fired because when they asked this question, they didn't run in and stop him from speaking.
Right. I mean,
they didn't immediately pull him out and say that's enough questions for today. Put it on somebody else's problem, that sort of thing. But they didn't do that. They just were like, all right, you can go ahead, try and answer.
Have you
like, I don't know.
Has anybody in the audience, have you ever seen Spies Like Us, the movie Spies Like Us? Because Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, they're
that's the Doctor movie, right? Doctor.
Yeah, Doctor. Right. They're the government employees who end up they want to be spies. They want to go out in the field. Right. And at the very beginning, Chevy Chase does what he does, which is he's giving a press conference. He's answering questions because that's the job he has before he wants to become a spy. And literally his answer. This guy, Garrett Cole, should have answered it exactly like Chevy Chase, which would have sounded something like this. I'm not that we could about this is going the spider tack. You know what I mean? It would have been perfect because that's literally what it sounded. What it should have said. This is cutting out on me. I can't hear you. I'm sorry. What? Let's move on.
I could just imagine any scenario on earth where somebody asks you a question like, hey, do you want like a judge says, did you break into that person's car? Well,
yeah.
I'm not sure if
I don't.
I'm not sure how to answer that.
Well, I mean,
the answer is yes. You did. You did use spider tack. Yeah, everyone knows. We get it. You're a cheetah. Just because the water boy's a cheetah.
I think what he should have said was it wasn't actually spider tack. It was an off-brand thing. So no, I've never used spider tack.
Actually, it was not spider tack. It was Equate. I believe is the brand that they call it. It's the
Walmart version. Yeah.
Equate tack.
Equate Super Grip, I think was the
Equate Super Grip. Sports grade.
Sports grade.
Not spider tack,
I don't know. I
don't know what you're talking about.
Right? I was awful. But it was one of the best takes for a journalist to listen to and go, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Because everyone in the world, every news sports outlet in the world is playing that interview. Everyone. Anyway.
I've never heard a player so like kind of bumbling, silly, dumb sounding to a
Right.
question. I've never heard it that bad. I've
It
heard
was-
people not give the best answers, but Allen Iverson went on a rant about playoffs,
I mean,
that
right?
sort of thing. But at least he was kind of on topic with what he was talking about. This guy was not talking about anything. He wasn't talking.
Maybe that's where he should have gone with it. Spider tack.
Spider tack.
What are we
Talking
talking about
about
here?
spider tack?
Talking about spider tack. Anyway,
How many 7-time MVP come off the bench? You spider tack.
so if the question is, is this happening in Major League Baseball? The answer is yes. Just FYI. If you hear something,
yes, and it's passed down.
if you, yeah, because literally what you heard him say was, "This is the way we've always done it." Right? I mean, that's what he just said.
Just like as good a reason as any to keep doing things that way, right?
Right, absolutely. Just because it's always been done that way doesn't mean it's not incredibly stupid. So that's just an FYI. So trivia question, or you want to do your minute? I'll leave it up to you.
Well, I'll do my minute, and it actually pertains to the Garrett Cole thing.
Okay, awesome. So in a segment that we call "Your Mother Thinks I Talk Too Much," Parker has the floor to talk about whatever he wants for the next minute or so. Take it away, Parker.
Okay, so we just briefly mentioned Spider Tack and it's a potential off-brand. So the question is, what is the best store off-brand? Is it Equate? Is it the Kroger brand ones? What is the best store off-brand? And we'll start with food. Potato chips is one that you find often. Have you ever had like Walmart brand chips?
Yeah, I've had Walmart brand.
Now,
chips.
have you ever had Kroger brand chips?
Yes.
Which ones are we preferring here?
So it depends on the chip. This is a really terrible answer because I feel like I have way too much knowledge of this. Yeah, I don't know how to answer. What I want to say is that the regular barbecued potato chips that you get from Safeway, from
Sure.
their store brand, and
So
for the life of me,
that's
it's
Kroger
escaping
brand,
me.
right? Safeway or no? Fred
No,
Meyer's Kroger
Fred
brand.
Meyer's Kroger.
What's Safeway's brand called? It has a name.
I want to say
Signature.
Private Select. It might be Signature Select or Signature something. Yeah, that's right. You're right. Because Private Selection is the one from Kroger. Anyway,
Okay.
those generic barbecued chips, and if you can find them, the wavy ones are so
Right.
good. They are so good. They're better than just buying Lay's. They're better. They're better. I don't know why, but they are. But in general, I would tell you that the Private Selection stuff from Kroger is probably the best off-brand or house brand. Let's call it house brand.
House brand.
House
yeah.
brand. Yeah.
As far as food goes. Now, as far as appliances, accessories, anything else, where are we leaning?
So I think
Walmart. I think Great Value's got to have it.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I've seen
Great Value is everything for one.
Yeah, and well, see, when you're dealing with other things, then it becomes less about like taste. When you're talking about like
It becomes about
pharmaceuticals.
quality. Like, are you buying a Great Value or a store or Walmart store brand shower curtain, or are you going to
right.
Pier 1 and getting a nice shower curtain?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, are you willing to go that route or this route? And I know that Safeway and Safeway doesn't sell a lot of the, what's it called? Well, like the home goods and things like that. But Fred Meyer does, and Walmart does. So you can at least compare and contrast those two. I would say Fred Meyer's home stuff is a higher quality, but their options are a lot less.
Well, I mean, Walmart's just bigger because of what they do.
I mean,
But,
right?
yeah, I would tell you this, that I will go out on a limb and say that Kirkland from Costco is your best off-brand for that kind of stuff.
Throwing Kirkland in the mix.
Yeah, Kirkland.
Have you ever bought their big 48 rack of beer or whatever it is?
No.
They are. You ever see? If you've ever watched a movie, they're like, and they have a beer that they can't put a sponsor on, like low budget movies. It'll say beer on it.
All right.
That's what the Kirkland brand says. It's a white can that says beer on the side. That is it. And they come in a 48 pack, I think, and it's like $20. It is so cheap.
I'm telling you, they made those products back in I want to say in and around 1980. They made generic products that they put on the shelves that literally said what was in. It just said it was a can with a white label and in black printed on it said green beans. They literally made a generic brand.
You're saying Costco did this?
No. It was available it was everywhere. They had them at every grocery store. Yeah, but they don't have them anymore. But that's what this is. That's what you're talking about. Is that beer that just says beer?
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's cheap and it's good. I agree with you. I think that Kirkland makes some of the best stuff.
Yeah. I think Kirkland would
especially
be
feed wise.
But I don't know if that was one of our options. But that's I went off the board for that.
Well, it's not an option. I was talking about store brands, so that technically qualifies. Have you ever worn a pair of Kirkland jeans?
No, they don't fit me.
There's a whole Workaholics episode, which, by the way, Workaholics show on Comedy Central. It's hilarious. There's a whole Workaholics episode dedicated to stealing somebody's Costco membership just to get Kirkland jeans because they're super cheap and you can buy 20 pairs of them for the price of one pair of jeans.
Right.
And and they don't fit properly. I've bought a pair of them. I returned them. They fit terribly. They're not straight-legged or I don't know what to say. They're just big old jeans.
Right.
So they work for some people,
but
they don't work for everybody. But Kirkland's stuff, as a general rule, is pretty high quality and pretty good.
Yeah, I think, but because it's made by the same people, it's just got a name.
But you're paying a membership fee.
Right. That's true.
You're paying to have access to that stuff. So there's a little bit of a gray area there in that, it's not like a normal store where you can just walk in and you can grab a great value or a private select or signature select item. You can't just walk into a Costco unless you want a hot dog. Then you can just walk in.
Right?
Well, wait, hold on. That's not true. You can just walk into a Costco. What is the person at the front going to do when they don't see your card? Nothing. But you can't check out.
Yeah, you can't check out if you don't have the
card. I have had trouble getting out of my wallet before and just walked in and just giving them a wave. and they're like, all right, have fun. Somebody else will stop you later.
But you can go to the snack bar and get.
You can go to the snack bar.
You can get that $1.59 hot dog and extra.
It is a thing that Walmart and all these other stores are missing is the snack bar.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, Target used to have it, and they're getting rid of them.
Target, they replaced them with a lot of Starbucks.
Yeah, so Target used to have that same kind of snack bar. You could get popcorn and hot dogs and like a piece of pizza. I think they even had like some of them
Little Caesars.
Yeah, Little Caesars in them.
When we lived in Clarksville, Tennessee, there was a Little Caesars that was in the Target there.
Yeah.
And that was while Little Caesars was experiencing its true downturn. Like they were at the rough times. And now they're back up because they're now able to charge $8 a pizza again, and we're doing well.
Well, this has been fun. This has been a good minute that was completely not and completely not.
I had a different idea for the minute. Yeah. But when you brought up store brand stuff, I was like, oh, that's it. We got to talk about that. We got to talk about store brand.
Okay. Let's go back to the trivia question and finish our show. Trivia question brought to you by Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. We are working on our live show that we're going to do in Hood River from Stone Wine Estates, and we'll let you know. The plan is sometime late August to do that. So we'll keep you updated on here. But you should go if you're in the listening area. You should go to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a good time. Anyway, I will let you know. We'll let you know the dates and the time and all that kind of stuff. But Stone Wine Estates trivia question, the best Lamb Sports Show. Here it is. You ready? What NBA MVP played in the fewest games in the season in which he won the MVP award? Do you know the answer?
Well, so I have two potential guesses. So fewest games usually implies an injury. Mm-hmm. Injuries happen to centers.
Yes, they do.
Unless you're Nikola Jokic.
Right.
Which we don't need to talk about.
Clearly, yeah.
So usually happen to centers.
Uh-huh.
So I'm trying to think about all the centers that won the MVP. But the year that Shaq won it, he played most of that season. And then prior to that, there was a giant gap where centers didn't win it for a while.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm going to steer it back to this. I'm going to steer it back to the 70s, 80s, and I'm going to say Wilt Chamberlain. Would be my guess, but I'm going to say late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, well your percentage just went down, so just FYI.
Oh,
I know, right? Well, I mean,
Bill Walton.
What? No,
is it Bill Walton?
No, he actually played.
Who is it?
He actually played in most of those games the year he won the MVP. So the answer, and I'm find the button. The answer is Karl Malone. In the 98-99 season, he won the NBA MVP. The season didn't start until February 5th because of a lockout. And the regular season was only 50 games long. He played in all 50 games. But he has the
least. So he played 100% of that season.
He played 100% of that season, but he has the least amount of games of any NBA MVP winner.
I started doing centers, and so he got ruled out immediately.
Yeah. In 50 games, he averaged 23.8 points, 9.4 rebounds, and 4.1 assists per game. He was also, that year, the oldest ever NBA MVP, turning 36 just a month after the season ended. So,
Do you happen to know who the second place person was?
that year?
Second most? No. Second most. Second fewest games
played.
to MVP.
Mm.
I want some redemption here. I want it to be somebody that I guessed, either Walton or Chamberlain preferably, because that's who my main guess was. But I'm feeling really bad that I just went to centers and ruled out everybody else. But I was really hoping that it'd be somebody else.
Well,
I
will tell you this. Since okay, so Bill Walton would be your number 2. At 50, he actually the year he won was 77-78. Was not the year they won the championship.
Late 70s. That's what I said. It's not
right.
Will Chamberlain, but it's not bad.
Yeah, he played in 58 games. He averaged only 18.9 points per game, but 13.2 rebounds and 5 assists, a steal, 2.5 blocks. He was all that, but it was only 58 games of Portland's games that year. He didn't play in all of them because he got injured. So that was an injury-related thing. You want to know who's third, by the way, and that will rock you a little bit, and that's LeBron James. 2011, 2012, 62 games he played. So that's your next person, and then Giannis last year, who only played in 63 games, but again, season was shortened, right?
Right, it was condensed. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that, and then there's a whole bunch of them in the 70s.
The question then becomes really quickly, because I know we're already over our time, is do you believe that Nikola Jokic's performance against the Blazers, because it's a regular season award, but do you believe that his performance against the Blazers helped push him over the top?
It didn't hurt him, for sure. I mean,
I don't know when they lock in their votes. So
yeah, I don't know when the voting actually occurs, but would it have changed someone's vote? Is that what you're saying? That he was so good against Portland that they would have changed the vote?
That somebody because I felt like going into the playoffs, it was kind of like a 60-40 Jokic Embiid.
Well, the only way that influences you if you also figure that Joel Embiid wasn't good in the first round. You know what I mean? That might have if they were both good.
He got hurt.
Yeah, but if they were both good, then you would have said, okay, well, it's equal, and whoever I was going to vote for, I would vote for still. But I mean, I don't know. That's a tough question to say.
You're on something there.
I don't know if someone gets swayed by their performance. You have to be a little bit. You're watching them do it as you vote, right? So,
these are writers and things like that. They're not going to stop watching basketball. So if you haven't submitted your vote yet, I see that's just it. We need to figure out when like the deadlines for voting are and things like that.
Right. Yeah, we'll have to delve into that. We'll get our crack statistics staff on that right now.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, they're watching TV downstairs right now. Anyway, that is all we have for today. We're going to be back next Wednesday, June 16th. We're going to have more playoff coverage. We're going to take a peek at Korean baseball next week. Don't look now, but it's coming.
So excited!
Back. It's coming back. We're going to have MLS, the NWSL, so much more, all kinds of stuff to talk about. Hopefully, I'll be able to finalize next week and tell you when we're having our show live. From Hood River. We're also planning one here in Yakima at the Range, one of our other sponsors. So hold on to your hats. We're gonna be going on the road.
Hold on. If we do it at the Range, can we hear like the shots in the background?
Absolutely.
We're just talking between the shots.
Absolutely. Just talk louder than
or do we get a shoot in between segments?
Well, no.
Like we say something, we stand up, fire one off, sit down, talk a little bit.
I don't think that we're going to be allowed to do it from the actual lane itself, but we'll be near it. You'll hear it.
Seems like a real missed opportunity.
Maybe we could put up some targets that are actual, sports figures. Tom Brady. Anyway, Nikola Jokic, whoever.
Nikola Jokic.
Whoever we're angry at. Whoever we're angry at the time. That's all I'm saying. Whatever. Anyway. So we're going to be back on the 16th. And I'm telling you, Korean baseball, do not miss that. You want to know. Everybody wants to know how the NC Dinos are doing this year. Everybody knows. Everyone wants to know. I mean, how can you not want to hear that? I feel like that's a thing. So anyway, we are live streaming on YouTube every weekend. We're on Twitter at Lamm Sports. We're on Facebook. Just put us in the search bar under the Best Lamm Sports Show. You can email us, lambsports@gmail.com. We want to thank our sponsors, The Range in Yakima, Boss Kitty Yarns, Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. And tune in next week. More brilliant trivia. I mean, you don't want to miss this. And we want to know how good Parker has done over the 50 questions. But anyway, this has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media, LLC. Thanks for listening.